So we're going to start this fly by attaching our mayfly brown Zelon at the wing set position, about the 2/3 point of the hook. And we'll tie this back to the tail set right above the barb. And I'll clip the material about the length of the body of this mayfly. I'm going to tie in a piece of brass wire. This is a very dark bronze colored wire, and I'm going to use this to add some strength to the biot that I'm going to tie in a moment. Then I'm going to select a turkey biot, and I'll tie this in right at the abdomen. And I'll wind this forward with a pair of hackle pliers. This makes a real nice segmented wrap if you'll use the opaque side back and the translucent side of this feather forward. And I'll bring that up to the wing set position and tie it off. And clip off the excess. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and rib the body in between each of these biot segments. I'm going to rib with this brass wire that I pulled together. And I'll bring that up to the wing set position, tie it off, and clip off the excess. Next, I'm going to take my dubbing mix, and this is a blend of UV tan and an olive dubbing, and I use about 25% UV and 75% olive, and blend that together and wind it over the thread, or kind of spin it around the thread to create a yarn. And then I'll wind it forward and then backward over the thorax area. And I'll stroke any fibers backwards, and I may have a stray here and there that I'll clip out. Next, I'm going to take some elk or some deer. It's really your choice. In this case, I've actually taken a little clump of deer and I've slid it into my hair stacker. And I'll stack this and ultimately get the tips nice and even, take it out of the stacker, and tie this on with about 1.5 times the gape of the hook as the length of the wing. I'm going to take 2 soft wraps over this and then pull it directly back towards me, and then wrap all the way back to the thorax with the thread. And then I'll take a clip of this material, leaving the butts hanging over the thorax. Gives it a little bit better buoyancy on this fly. Next, I'm going to take a whiting midge saddle hackle, dry fly saddle hackle, and I'll prepare it by stripping about 1/8 of an inch of the barbs off of the stem. And I'll tie this on in that little flat section that I've created between the wing and the thorax. Now I like to take and tie hackles into a bed of glue. So before I wrap this, I'm going to put just a brief dab of glue on this area. just a very slight drop glue right in that area of the fly. Then I'll take and wind this forward, taking about 3 wraps, all right at 90 degrees to the hook shank. And I'll wind those forward, and then I'm going to tie this off right underneath the wing and right in front of the wing. It slipped just a touch on me, so let me retie it, and then let's tie it off in front of the wing. I'll take 3 or 4 or 5 wraps in front of the wing, and then I'll get my thread out of the way and clip off the excess. And from here, I'm going to move right into a whip finish. I use a one-handed whip finish. I don't know how to use a whip finish tool, so I use just a one-handed whip finish, and then use my scissors to guide the thread in behind the head there, and then I'll snip off the excess. So that is a Cripple Callibaetis. This is actually modeled very closely after a Quigly Cripple, but with a couple of modifications using a Biot and some UV dubbing or adaptations that are different than how Bob Quigly tied this fly. Give this one a try. It's one of my go-to patterns during a Callibaetis hatch. That's the Sunriver Anglers fly tying corner for this month.